Welcome to Lesson 8. Here we will discuss layer masks. One of the disadvantages of Elements 8 is there is no mask option. However, we will learn a workaround or a cheating method to allow us to use a mask in version 8. If you own or later purchase a more up-to-date version of Elements, such as 9.0 or higher, there is a layer mask button. So what you can learn on this video tutorial, you'll be able to apply to that version, just with 1 or 2 steps less. Firstly, I would like to show you how a layer mask works. To do this, I will go to Photoshop CS for a moment before I show you how to use the mask in Elements. Here we are in Photoshop CS. We have a blank page created, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and let's see, I'm going to change the color to red, and I'm going to get the paint bucket tool with the shortcut G, and I'm going to click in the middle of the page, and that'll paint my layer red. Then I'm going to come down and add a new layer, and I am going to fill that layer with a different color. So let me choose another color here. Let's go with yellow. So I take my paint bucket tool again, click on it, and now I have 2 layers, a yellow and a red. So I'm going to switch to my move tool. So now I want to add a layer. Actually, before I do add a layer mask, let's look at what we can do. So you have the yellow layer and the red layer. If I wanted to hide some of the yellow layer, if I click the erase button, which is located right here, and shortcut E, I can come and erase this. I can make my brush a bit bigger. I can erase different parts if I want. But what you see is, and if you look closely at the layer thumbnail, you'll see that I'm actually taking out pieces of this layer. If I want to bring it back, I can't do that. I have destroyed the pixels. This is what we had referred to earlier as destructive editing. So we definitely don't want to do that. So I'm going to go back to my history and get rid of all the eraser steps. Okay, so instead of doing that, we can add what's called a layer mask. Now in CS, we just have to click a button right here that says Add Layer Mask. And you notice that right beside the layer that we are on, or in the same layer, beside the thumbnail, is another plain white thumbnail. This white thumbnail is a layer mask. And when it's white, it is revealing the entire layer. So you see the whole layer in which the mask is on. If I wanted to hide some of this layer, what I can do is I can make sure that my foreground color is black, which it is in this case, and I would pick a brush. So I go to my brush tool and pick a brush, and I can come in here and I can create an area like this, and now what I'm doing is I'm hiding this section of my layer. And if you, I'll make it nice and bigger. Okay. And if you look at the mask thumbnail, you'll see there's a black section. That section, it shows that this part of the layer is hidden. Now, how this is different from erasing it is if I think, oh, I covered up too much, I need to reveal a little bit more, what I can do is I can come down to my color swatches and hit this little double arrow button here and make sure that white is the foreground color. And now I can come up and I can paint in here with white, and what that does is it reveals the layer underneath again. So if I quickly hit the X, that'll switch the colors back. Black hides the layer, and switch again with the X. White reveals the layer. So it's that's basically how a layer mask works. So let me just do, oh, I need to switch back to black, so I'm going to make a, I'm just going to show you quickly. And here you see on the thumbnail, everywhere there's black, I've hidden the yellow layer, so therefore the red underneath gets revealed. So here we have, that's basically how a layer mask works. White reveals the layer, and black conceals or hides the layer. Okay, so enough from Photoshop. Let's go to, or CS I should say, let's go to Elements. And in Elements we're going to do basically the same thing. We're going to go create a new blank file. I'm going to choose a photo. I'm going to go 5 by 5, but with a 300 resolution, which is what we had up before. So I'm just going to do it the same. So notice I have a blank white layer. So here I'm going to go to my color swatch. I'm going to pick red. Say OK. I'm going to pick my paint bucket tool, click on it, make it red. I'm going to go over here now and create a new layer. Now I want you to follow along as I'm doing this. So now let's create a new layer. So now I'm on my layer 1. So now I want to make that yellow. So let's come here and go yellow. And because I'm on my layer 1, if I click with my paint bucket, I'm going to paint this whole thing yellow. And now I have 2 layers, very similar to the way we did it in Photoshop CS. The difference now is that there's no Add Layer Mask button. So what we got to do is we got to kind of trick the system into believing that we have one. So here's what we're going to do. Remember in our first lesson in lesson 8 with our adjustment layers? Well, that's what we're going to do is we're going to go to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, and we can pick any one of these. It doesn't matter which one. So we'll say, okay, yes, that's the one we want to pick. So now you see we have an adjustment layer. The reason it doesn't matter which one is we aren't going to make any adjustments to the layer. We just need this to help us make a layer mask. So here are the adjustments down here. So I'm just going to close those out by clicking the down arrow on the right and choose Close. I don't need that in there. So now I have my adjustment layer and my layer 1 and my background. So what I have to do now is I have to drag this layer down so that it's under, there we go, so that it's under the layer that I want to mask. So instead of having this white thumbnail beside the yellow thumbnail, so the layer mask beside it, it's actually going to be under it. And then the last step that we have to do is we have to link these 2 layers together. So to do that, hold down your Alt key or Option on a Mac and hover between the line that separates both layers. And you get a funny looking little icon. So if you click while that icon is up, you have now clipped these 2 layers together. So if you look over here, you're going to see an arrow that points down. So now what we've done is we have linked these two layers together, or clipped them together. So anything we do to this white thumbnail will now affect the yellow layer, or layer 1. So as we learned a few seconds ago, the white layer reveals everything that's on that layer. So because this is entirely white, we see all of the yellow layer. So now we're going to paint with black. So if we look at our color swatches, we have white as the foreground color. So we need it to be black. So we're going to hit the X to switch colors. And now we're going to get our brush tool, shortcut B. I'm going to pick a brush. I'm just going to go to default brushes. And I need that to be bigger. So with my right bracket key, I'm going to make it bigger. And watch what happens with. So now, same thing as what happened before. You see that wherever I'm painting right now, it's going to be black on that thumbnail. So it doesn't matter where I paint, I am going to cover up or conceal or hide this yellow layer. And you can see what is being hidden by what appears to be black in the in the thumbnail. If I switch back to white being the foreground color, now when I go back over here, I'm going to reveal that layer. So I can paint white to reveal, black to conceal. So there you have it. We will use this, we'll show you the purpose or how we can use this with our photos in the next tutorial. Right now we want you to practice by setting up 2 layers, putting your layer adjustment or your adjustment layer underneath the layer that you want to mask. Then use your Alt click motion between the 2 layers and actually clip those 2 layers together, and then practice painting with your white and black brushes.
Not believe your eyes if 10 million fire